Chris has asked me to do a demo on the individual development plan tool available in AgLearn. However, he asked me to emphasize also that for the DRM services people, the GIS folks, and the GIS analysts, it's going to be required for 2011 to have one in place and approved. I had a PowerPoint that was developed by Mary Tafoya, but it's pretty redundant, so I'm just going to go right into AgLearn and show you how I did it. I have one that I was playing around with yesterday, and I'm going to create another one for 2011. So the first thing is, of course, that you have to connect to AgLearn. Okay, so you do your login with eAuth and go into AgLearn. That gets you to this page. That is the AgLearn homepage. And it has job aids and training. You see that the link is, I don't know if you can see that, but the link has been used because I went there, and I'm going to show you some of those documents and other current news for AgLearn. From there, you go to Learner Login here and get in to AgLearn. This is the page that you get into when you first get in. And it has all kinds of current news about what courses are being offered and things like that. To do your individual development plan, you would click on Career. And then My Plans. There is this demo plan, which is just something I'm going to delete, but I wanted to have it in place to show you what a completed one or a partially completed one looks like. So we're going to view this plan. And you can see, as I scroll down, that it has a name, no plan period for me yet. It has a purpose, demonstrating creating a plan. But the main guts of this thing are 2 goals, and each goal has an activity. Actually, this one should have an activity, and I'm going to show you how to add that. What I want to emphasize here is that there are 2 types of activities for AgLearn that you're going to be interested in, and that is internal AgLearn training based on these foundation competencies. These are competencies considered important for everybody in the Forest Service. And I am going to focus on oral communication as a foundation competency. Those have, along with it, associated items. And you can see that I've already scrolled down in this document to oral communication. Here is a list of the courses that are available. If it has a course number in it, that is what you would call it up by. I'm not sure what it means if it's blank. But this is an example of internal AgLearn courses available to address the foundation competencies. And that's the example I'm going to use for that. Okay, well, most of the training that we have received as GIS specialists anyway has been external training, either through GSTC or through our Service First training program, or in my case a while back I did a lot of the ESRI online courses, and that's also considered external training. So for external training, let me minimize some of this stuff so I don't get lost. I'm looking at my own personal core competency breakdown, and I think most of us have gone through this, and it may be fairly old, but that is where I am going to focus my external training on. As I scroll down a little bit, you can see that I have pretty good skills for everything except application development is one of my real weaknesses. And so you can see that I have a model builder, some experience, really no experience based on actual project work, but programming and writing routines or tool sets, I have nothing. So my example for this is going to be based on a need for external training, i.e. our Service First training program, courses related to programming. I don't know how relevant Virtual Basic is. We're supposed to be getting away from that with 10. So just kind of scratch that in your mind and keep the Python part. I'm going to minimize my core competencies, and so what it was wanted to emphasize is that the core competencies is where the ISSs and the leadership team would like us to place our emphasis. So you would be referring to your part of this document. So I'm going to use that one as an example. And here we are back at the AgLearn page. In this case, I was going for a target date of the end of the fiscal year. In reality, what you're going to be creating is for fiscal year 2011. Okay, so that is your time period, your target date that you want to have completed these goals and activities. So I put in an activity for my goal, and that was made up. There is no Python for Dummies class. I just threw it in there. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you how to do is go ahead and create another one. Okay, so I'm going to go, it's back to my plan here, and now you can see that I can delete this one. If it has been approved by your supervisor, you can't delete it. Okay, this is just one I didn't want to even get near my supervisor, so I would be deleting this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new plan. The plan title is something relevant to what you're creating for GIS Specialist FY 2011, for instance. Plan period. You do a select, and it comes up with a list of valid input for that. So I'm going to go ahead to okay, next page. Fiscal year 2011, and select it. The plan purpose is like upgrading foundation and core competencies. Okay, the effective date is the first day of fiscal year 11, and the expiration date automatically is populated with the last day of fiscal year 11. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. That's all there is to creating a plan. But what you want to do next is add a goal to the plan. Okay, there are no goals in this plan area, and so I'm going to choose a new goal. So I'm going to give for my first goal one of the foundation competencies. I'm going to go ahead and stick with oral communication. That's something that everybody needs to know how to do to communicate with team workers, with ELT, with your customers, etc., etc. So I'm going to call that goal number 1. Goal name is improving oral communications. A goal description I'm not going to bother with, but you would type in anything that you would need to flesh that out a little bit. The priority is, again, something that you would select, and no priority data was found. So I'm going to show you that priority doesn't have a red asterisk by it. It's not a required field. I don't think you can just type in there either, so they're going to populate that list later. But the target date, when do you want to accomplish this goal by? And if you have an earlier date than the end of the fiscal year, that's fine, but I usually go ahead and say the end of the fiscal year is when I want it to be done by. And the target value and stretch value, they said to disregard. That I'm not really sure what those mean, but it's not required, so I'm not going over it. Now we have a goal category, and that you ignore completely. That's for one Department of Agriculture department, and that's the Farm Services Administration, so ignore that. And section, okay? And here you can kind of pick where you're going with this. Okay, so I am going to call it a career development goal. Again, that's up to you guys. So go ahead and choose from this list whatever you think that goal is addressing. So I'm going to go finished. Oh, I must correct the error, so I have errors here. The target date must be after the plan effective date. Oh, and I meant 2011, sorry. Okay, let's go to the next year and then go to September 30th. Well, nothing shows people like making mistakes, okay? So now I'm going to, instead of hitting finish though, see, I'm going to save and add another goal because I'm not done with my goals, okay? So my goal now is going to be goal number 2, speeding this up a little bit, and I'm going to say application development, goal description, writing, specialized, tools, and applications. And our tools folks would know better than that. Okay, and the section, I'm going to call it a long-term goal because my knowledge of that is nil. And it's going to take me a long time to really get up to speed on it. Again, the target date at the end of the fiscal year. Hit this calendar to select the date. Make sure you're going the right way with it. So next year, and then September 30th. So you can put anything in there if you have a more narrow window that you want to finish this in. Okay, target value and stretch value, again, I leave null. Okay, this time I have the right date in here, so I'm going to go ahead and say finished. You can add as many goals to that as you want, but all of the ISSs want to emphasize that they need to kind of go along with your core competencies or your foundation competencies as we move through trying to improve our GIS services for both tools and customers. Okay, so I have 2 goals. Each of my goals need a activity to go with it. Right here, activities, none, add activity. So pay attention to these little weird arrows like Lotus Notes has. You pop that down, you can pop down details, but the activities then show. And so I'm going to add an activity. Create new activity or search for activity. In this case, I'm going to pretend it's internal. So I'm going to search. You can search for exact phrase, or you can search by keyword like communications. I'm going to say oral communications. If you know the exact name of your course, you can type that in too and hit exact phrase. So I'm going to go do a search. And then you will get a bunch of courses. They're sometimes related to the competency that goes with them. So I am going to say I want to take a course in building improved work relations, the simulation here. So I would select that and add. Okay? And now you can see, scroll up, that I have an activity associated with this goal. And you can add more than one activity as well. You can add another activity. Say you have a series of courses, one builds on the other. Then you would add those sequentially as far as the time and stuff like that. But to save time, I'm going to go ahead and say that that's good and that go down to my next goal, which is application development. No activities there yet, so I'm going to add an activity. But this time I'm going to create a new activity because I know the course that addresses this goal is external to AgLearn. In other words, part of our own Service First training, an ESRI online course, a college course, whatever you've got there. So I'm going to call it, Advanced Model Builder, Lisa says, is the course that will contain the programming of Python, the beginning of it. Okay, so I'm going to do Advanced Model Builder because I just happen to know that that's the course that's going to apply to this. And then Lisa's going to talk a little at the end about the Service First training and how this will play into all of this. So there's no priority, no target value, no stretch value. Say you want to be finished with Advanced Model Builder before the end of the fiscal year, so you can go on to the next level. So I'm just going to say that I want to finish this by March and go to the next year. Watch that. Say 15th. Okay? And so I will add. And when I'm done with this, you'll see that I have one activity that goes with that goal. So I'm going to say that my IDP is complete now. This is just a demo. You're probably not going to be happy with just 2 goals and 2 activities. So I can print it. I can list all my plans. I can view and add notes to my different, say you have different scenarios for different things. I can save, or most importantly, submit for approval. Chris wanted me to mention here that the supervisor has 30 days after submission to approve it, or the plan becomes null and you have to start over again. Okay? So I'm just going to hit save and not submit, because I haven't even begun to think about what my goals and the associated activities for this next year are going to be. Again, I reiterate that all of us services people are going to be required to have one in place by the beginning of fiscal year 11. So that will be a little bit of a workload for each individual and for the supervisors that need to approve them. Now I'm going to list all plans just to get to show you that I have 2 plans. It looks like I had one for 2010 and one for 2011 when I really don't have any, but this is where you would go to list and view, edit, and modify. After it's been submitted and approved, you can't change it. You can amend it by adding more activities and stuff like that, but you can't delete it. It'll be there until the end of the effective date. Now, I'm going to stop and ask, does anybody have any questions about what I've gone over so far?
What? Shirley there, I have one comment.
Okay.
You can take classes on AgLearn from your home if you want. You don't really have to draw the plan and have your supervisor approve it. But of course, if you're doing it on work time, you should get their approval. And of course, if it costs money, you need approval. But for the free online courses, there's no reason you could. You have to do the plan with the own.
This is Lisa with the Service First training, and that's true, but by doing the IDP, it gets added to your learning history when you've completed a training session. So even if you do something at home, try to add that to your plan so that you get credit for it in your learning history.
Thanks, Lisa. Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to show you a few more things and then turn it back over to Lisa. Okay. Question? No?
Do you know where are those core competency spreadsheets located?
For the GIS? Actually, Michelle gave me this one and removed everybody else but me. It's all in one. So if you don't have a copy of it, I think that you'll probably have to ask your supervisor or whatever. I'm not sure exactly where those are stored. Michelle was concerned that I didn't see other people's ratings and their competencies. So
I'll be discussing that in just a minute. This is Lisa. I will be discussing the core competencies and where we're headed with that in just a moment.
Okay? So this is really easy to do. The hard part is thinking of what you want your goals to be and how you want to accomplish them, just like anything in life. So I'm going to show you a couple of other things. This is a job aid for the supervisors. It's available on the home page for the AgLearn IDP part of it. And we will be sending out a link document to links to all of these places that I'm referring to everybody. So don't worry about getting the right web address or anything like that. But there are job aids for the supervisors and also for people that are building their own. And there are also job aids for the individual CSAs. This is one that was produced, I'm not sure who wrote it, but specifically for CSA1. I don't think you can see it very well, and I'm not going to go over it, but I just wanted you to know that they're available. Okay? Now, along with that, of course, I showed you the foundation competencies. These are located in the AgLearn homepage, so you can download them and read them if those are part of the goals that you want to attain. Okay, so before I pass it over to Lisa again, I'm going to go to the, not that one. Once you log on, there's links to here, and there's also a home page that I didn't bring up, but I have made a individual development plan demo link to it. Okay, and this is the IDP in AgLearn homepage. If you go up one level, it will be about other kinds of AgLearn. Here's your training. Skip directly to AgLearn job aids page, and you'll find the job aids for just about everything. They're really well written. I had never done this before yesterday, and got all the information I needed from these job aids. Okay, that's the end of the very brief demo.